Oh, let's get into the big topic, the big news that happened this week. All right. We just found out that not only did Oscar Valdez A sample come back dirty, but the B sample as well.
Well, just want to get some clarification for everybody out there. The A sample and the B sample is the same sample. They just separated in two different vials. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay. If it's the piss test, it's the same piss. They just separate in two different cups or whatever, right? If it's a syringe with the blood, it's one syringe and it's separate in two vials. I just want to make sure everybody understands it's the same test. It's not another test, right? And the reason I'm saying that is some people were texting me, oh, Valdez passed the B sample. And I was like, man, like the only way that could happen is if the first one was a false positive. That's it, which is possible, but not very probable, right? It's extremely rare, not impossible, but extremely rare that that's the case. So there's a lot of people out on the internet, and believe me, just because it's in the internet doesn't mean it's true, that are saying that Valdez passed the B sample. No, he passed another test, okay, from I believe 17 days later. That's a different test, okay? The B sample, which they usually only test as kind of like a backup when you fill the A, right? They tested for that same drug, and it came out positive, okay? Confirming that it's not a false positive. He did, in fact, test positive for the banned substance. It is a banned substance. It is something that he signed on a dotted line that he would not take, regardless of what our opinion is, whether it's effective or not, or like that's just what he agreed to. It is a diuretic, from my understanding. Now, what's not really my understanding, maybe somebody else in the panel knows more than me. So I'll sit back after I say this. I keep hearing a lot of, oh, it could be a stimulant and it could be a masking agent, right? I like the terms could be used in situations like this because it insinuates that he was taking something else without any proof, right? We don't know if he took anything else. That's just, unless you actually find it, right? You can't just presuppose, well, it's a masking, it could be a masking agent, so therefore he must have taken some other stuff. Okay, he's guilty for taking this. Now, whether it's a stimulant or not, I can't really specify.
It is a stimulant. It is a stimulant.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, you'll go right now, but so I don't know. And then, of course, whether it could be a masking agent or not, I kind of get the point. I just think it's pushed a little too much, and it kind of gives that insinuation that he took some other stuff. I don't think it's that hard to believe that a fighter in something like boxing took a diuretic, and I'm not saying he should have, but took it to help him lose weight to make the weight, 130 pounds. These guys are cutting a lot of water weight. They're cutting a lot of weight to make these, to make weight, you know what I mean? And then they dehydrate afterwards. So that's all I wanted to say. At the end of the day, in my opinion, I think he should face some consequences for it. What that is specifically, I don't know. I just know this. It shouldn't be, in my opinion, after the fight. Because let's say he fights and then you suspend him for 6 months. Well, these guys only fight twice a year. So, like, suspending him for 6 months is kind of a moot point. That's like suspending a football player during the season for 3 days. Like, okay, well, he's still going to play on Sunday. Like, what does that even mean? So that's my opinion. I'll sit back and let.
Yeah.
Whether it was used as a stimulant or whether it was used as a diuretic or whether it was used as both or whether it was used, as a remedy to ED or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter, okay? The fact is it's a banned substance. I don't care if the guy had migraine headaches and was using it. I don't care if he had nausea and was using it. None of that matters. It's on a banned list. It was in his system. End of story. So that's number one. Number two, it baffles me constantly how people that watch sports as much as people that tune into our channels still don't understand the concept of an A sample and a B sample. Okay. I used to compete in sports up through my completion of my undergraduate degree. I've been tested a couple times. I was also tested for a job that I used to have, funny enough. But A sample, B sample is simple. You got two separate containers. You start urinating in one, you finish urinating in the other. It's the same stream of pee. Okay? That's all it is. They take an A, they take a B. The only reason they take a B is in case the A is contaminated in some way or there's some issue with it or whatever the case may be. You have a backup. Okay? It's the same source drawn at the same time. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, look, it wouldn't be YouTube boxing talk if people didn't start with their conspiracy theories. Some guy in Canelo's camp takes a shit. Guess what? Canelo has diarrhea. Like none of it. I mean, this is what guys do. Unfortunately. I guess he popped for this. Therefore, Canelo popped for it. Therefore, JC Martinez popped for it. Therefore, Canelo, obviously, he's probably Andy Ruiz. I mean, Andy Ruiz and Canelo are probably taking 20 times the amount, right? I mean, look, so those are my thoughts on it. It's on a banned substance list. He should face some type of penalty for it. And I'm going to be honest, it's going to be a stain on his career because people are going to always be referencing this, just as they've referenced the clenbuterol with Canelo, and just as they've referenced the Dillian White situation that happened out in the UK before the Rivas fight. I was like, once this happens to you, you never live it down. I mean, people are still talking about Manny not liking needles. I mean, these things don't go away.
Yeah, by the way, just really quick, it's not going to go away. They're already making memes of Kermit the Frog drinking the tea. Like, so it's not going to go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam didn't help, in other words.
So when I first saw that it was released, I think it was August 31st, a couple days ago, the first thought that came to my head is, how do these athletes in general, it's not even just boxing, how do they think that they can get away with this stuff and think that they can beat science? It blows my mind because the truth always comes out, whether it's in one test, they always are covering themselves. And I mean, you can go back and forth of, it's a diuretic, it's not necessarily going to help him in regards to building his strength, but if you signed on the dotted line, like I forgot who said it earlier. If you signed on the dotted, yes, D-Style. If you said yes, I'm not going to take this, then you don't take it. And also, we have this beautiful thing called the internet, where if you're about to take something and you're like, I'm not sure if I'm not supposed to take this, we can use Google and we could see, okay, or we can go back into our contract. Even though this is an independent sport, we have a team behind us. So as a team too, I think that we should be holding each other accountable of, look, I don't think if he's doing this with his team on a team, maybe other people on his team are doing it too. I don't know if it's just a one-man band in that situation. So it's not a good look for Valdez. It doesn't matter what it is. If he signed on the dotted line that he wasn't going to take it and it shows up in his system, there needs to be consequences. We can't make exceptions, or it's just going to be a shit show for all of boxing, honestly. So
I agree, and I'm gonna have to do like Mr. Rogers did back in the days when we were all young, watching the show, and he would tell you the word of the day, right? And I think in this situation, the word of the day is definitely accountability. Valdez needs to be held accountable for his actions. Okay, he knew what's on the list. Okay, Christine pointed that out earlier in the chat. She says all the fighters are given a list of substances and steroids and things like that they're not supposed to take. So they know. And with you knowing you take it, guess what? You need to suffer the consequences for your actions. Okay, there is no excuses for it, none. Now, Here's what I'm going to say. Now, I've already said that in my video that I made. I made a 5-minute video the other day about it when it first came out. Okay, so I'm not giving this guy a pass. Nothing like that. But I think the problem is this. Again, they want to tie it into other guys. Okay, look, you can go ahead and have fun with that if you want. But again, there's no proof. You've got no proof. I've got no proof. Okay, you're just speculating. You're just running your mouth at this point. Also, with accusing Valdez, oh, this is probably why he beat Burchelt in his last fight. Well, guess what? Him and Alacran both tested VADA for that fight. Both came back clean. So, you know, if you want to go ahead and add an assertion to that, you go ahead, okay? But we know that neither one of them got caught for anything going into that fight. Also, I want to say this before I pass the buck, okay? I keep seeing people saying that he's juiced up, right? That he's on steroids. I'm seeing memes with him with needles in his arms and things like that. Look, this is a completely different thing than taking an anabolic steroid, okay? One, it's like literally night and day, okay? Night and fucking day. You don't take a stimulant and then all of a sudden turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, okay? The man did not test positive for steroids, okay? There's a big difference, all right? He got busted for what was called I've heard people say it's a stimulant. It's something that suppresses your appetite to help you lose weight. Okay, it's a banned substance, so he's got to be punished. But it's not steroids. Okay, again, this guy's not going to just all of a sudden come out with 20-inch pythons like Hulk Hogan. Okay, that's not how it works, man.
Oh man, this is a hot topic, and I was hoping that I missed this one because what I've seen on Twitter, people going back and forth, I'm like, if I just say the wrong thing, man, I'm going to get some heat. But listen, I got to give this to you from a perspective of a kid who grew up in San Francisco.
You're canceled.
A San Francisco Chicano kid that grew up at the height of the steroid era and was an all-star Little League kid. I literally grew up going to Candlestick and Coliseum and watch Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire break all the records. We saw things done in baseball that we have not seen replicated. Okay. So growing up watching that, the stain that was put on the sport, I didn't have that opinion about it. I'm like, I got to witness something incredible. Yeah. We don't know how severe the problem of roiding was during that era, but it's presumed that maybe more than half of the baseball players were on testosterone.
I think Jose Canseco said 85% of the players back then were on something.
Thank you, G Funky.
Including the pitchers, by the way.
Yes.
Including pitchers, the records for saves. He came out on all the illegal substances he was on. So that whole era was tainted. So I've always assumed that every athlete at the top level, if they can gain an advantage, is going to take that opportunity. And this is what the problem with boxing is. We have multiple bodies that sanction things, and each of them go by different rules. VADA doesn't have the same rules as the World Anti-Doping Association that says you can take phentermine up till 1 day before the contest. Okay, so Valdez's attorneys used that. Hey, the World Anti-Doping Association says I can take it right up until the contest. Now he's the WBC champion, so they do their own clean boxing program. So he's got to abide by the rules of VADA, which are totally different. Look at the list. It's public information. You can go on the internet right now and go through 15 pages of PDF of banned substances. Now, from a personal perspective, I know people who have used phentermine because they prescribe this shit in San Jose, California, at weight loss clinics everywhere. We know that Latinos have problems with diabetes and obesity. It is well known. They prescribe this like candy everywhere to help you lose weight. The trick is you're only supposed to use it for 4 to 6 weeks. And if you're an obese man and you stay on it, you can get impotent. Now, I highly doubt that Oscar Valdez, a man in his 20s, wants to be impotent. Right? So the problem is, we don't do same-day weigh-ins. How many UFC fights have we seen fighters in the past 2 years literally collapse on the scale? Collapse all over social media, just fall immediately after being weighed. So these fighters are under tremendous pressure to cut extreme amounts of weight. And he got caught. But I don't have that opinion that I think like, oh my God, he's going to forever carry this stain now. We really need to look at the fact that there's too many sanctioning bodies, too many rules that are confusing as hell, and too much pressure to cut weight that's unnatural and dangerous.
I want to say this to the chat. Look, nobody's giving Oscar Valdez a pass. We've all said he needs to suffer the consequences, and that,
yes,
nobody's saying that. So
thank you, G Funk. I'm not giving Valdez a pass. He is a WBC champion, which means he has to abide by the VADA clean boxing program, and he got caught for a banned substance. The list is like 15 pages long, different things from pain medication to testosterone to HGH to stimulants. He got caught. Okay, the question is, what should his penalty be? And is there a problem in boxing overall that allows these people to get away? Sometimes athletes can get away if you give them an opportunity. They will cycle in an attempt to not get caught, but he has a weight issue.
But if he had a weight issue and was taking drugs under a doctor's supervision, he had the opportunity to list that, which all athletes do. Like, that's what happened to Luis Ortiz. He was taking blood pressure medication under the supervision of a doctor. And when they gave him the form asking him what medicine he was taking, he didn't list it, which is why he got caught.
The problem here is the misconception. And I think Dave did a phenomenal job explaining the whole thing, because people are trying to make this something it's not. And they're saying, oh, this is a diuretic. And Dave is 100% correct. It's not a diuretic. And then people are saying, oh, well, if he took this, he's trying to hide something else. No, that's like saying just because you caught someone with marijuana, automatically they're a cocaine addict. No, there's no correlation between the two. So I think Dave made some great points. And I'm just going to piggyback off some of them too, because people are trying to classify this as a performance-enhancing drug, making this an advantage for him in terms of performance in the fight, which actually this could hurt somebody. This is, if you're not obese and this is not prescribed to you, right, then this could actually hurt you. If you're training and your heart rate's already going up, and then you're taking this alongside hard training, and you're forcing your body to work harder than it normally wants to work, and you're screwing up your hormones, your adrenaline, your epinephrine, all that shit that's going on in your body, then you're taking your body out of homeostasis, you're releasing all this cortisol. This is designed just for him to make weight. This isn't making him a better fighter. This can actually make him a worse fighter because of all the stress that it's putting on his body. And some of these drugs are banned not because they're a performance enhancer, but because they're not safe to take, because they can hurt people.
Facts.
So this is banned because it's not safe. And even doctors are very wary of prescribing this to patients, because recently doctors move away from this drug. This is a very serious drug. All right. So this is not making him a better fighter. This is not making him perform better. This is actually hurting him. It's putting more stress on his body, and it's causing him to lose weight unnaturally. Now, is it giving him an advantage in losing weight over a fighter who's trying to do it naturally? Yes. But again, he's kicking the shit out of his central nervous system. So when you say stimulant, yeah, you're stimulating your central nervous system. You're not stimulating glycogen production. You're not stimulating performance. You're not increasing testosterone, as G Funky said, right? So all you're doing is you're making your body lose weight unnaturally. So yes, he broke the rules, but let's not take this somewhere where it doesn't have to go. Oh, he's masking something else. That's bullshit. Diuretics aren't even a great masking agent, because drugs will stay in your system as long as they stay in your system, right? Certain drugs, they'll stay in there longer, right? Other drugs won't. It's just the way it is. So everyone wants to, make these false accusations about the guy that he cheated, and it's giving him an unfair advantage in terms of, strength, speed, and endurance and all this. No, this is actually hurts him. And this drug is banned because it's not safe. It's not because it enhances an athlete's performance. It's not safe.
I could say this, and I think the reason we're seeing a lot of this confusion is because of the boxing media, okay? Too many boxing journalists keep repeating that this could be a masking agent to hide other performance-enhancing drugs. That's an insinuation that he's taking other stuff without any proof.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
If you don't catch the other stuff, you can't insinuate it. Like, it's not that hard to believe that he took this to help him cut weight, right?
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe he doesn't want to dehydrate himself too much, and he wants his drug to help him. And I don't think he should be doing that. I think everyone has said that he signed the dotted line, and he got caught, and he should be punished for it. Everyone agrees with that, okay? Yeah. But at the end of the day, look, it's all about technicalities. Like, technically speaking, Floyd Mayweather was able to use IV before his fight with Manny Pacquiao, right, to help him with his dehydration. Now, technically speaking, he got a therapeutic use exemption.
You know what the problem was when this news was first released? Coppinger first released and said it was a diuretic, and he made the error, and then he had to backtrack and say it was a stimulant.
So and the diuretic implies that it is a masking agent, and it's not on that drug. Amphetamine is not on the diuretic list. It is on the stimulant list.
Well,
correct.
You know what they say, Joe, right? And I'm gonna adjust it for this circumstance. The cap is halfway around the world before the truth has tied his shoes.